subtracting positive and negative numbers. You've applied the idea that minus means opposite of to change subtraction problems to addition of the opposite problems. In each of the problems you've completed to this point, the number that follows the subtraction sign has been positive. For example, in the equation 6 minus 10, both the 6 and 10 are positive. You know that minus means opposite of, which allows you to read this as 6 plus the opposite of 10, or 6 plus negative 10. Using the rules for combining positive and negative numbers, you know that moving down 10 units from 6 gives you an answer of -4. This same process can be used when the number behind the subtraction sign is negative. Notice that the negative number that follows the subtraction sign is written in parentheses. This is often, but not always, done in order to help keep the expression written clearly. Remember that each minus symbol means opposite of. This problem is asking, what is 6 and the opposite of 10? You learned that the opposite of a number is always the number itself, so the opposite of 10 is just 10. This means that the problem is 6 and 10, or 6 plus 10. This is even easier to understand when you use the following rule. Subtracting is the same as adding the opposite of a number. You have 2 steps to follow when changing a subtraction problem to an add the opposite problem. Step 1. Change the subtraction symbol to an addition symbol. Step 2. Change the number that follows to its additive inverse or opposite. Once you've rewritten the subtraction problem as an add the opposite problem, all you have to do is use the rules for adding positive and negative numbers to find the answer. In this example, the final answer is 16. This can be shown using a number line, but it can seem a little mind-boggling. Just remember that positive and negative refer to direction. Let's look at an example. You read it as 9 subtract 7. You can count up 9 units and then count down the opposite direction 7 units. Or we could look at the same problem as 9 plus -7. Here you think to count up 9 units and then count down the opposite direction 7 units. The answer is still 2. Let's look at one final example. For this problem, you read it as 9 subtract -7. For this one, you should think, count up 9 units and then count the opposite direction of the opposite direction 7 units. The opposite of an opposite is a positive. Don't worry if the number line examples seem confusing. They're just meant to prove that the rules you use work. The important thing is that you remember all the rules that work together for solving addition and subtraction problems with positive and negative numbers. 1. A minus symbol always means opposite of whether it's used as a subtraction symbol or a negative sign. 2. Subtraction problems can be rewritten as add the opposite problems. 3. The opposite of a number is the number itself, which means that subtracting a negative number is the same as adding the positive number. 4. To add positive numbers, add the numbers and keep the positive sign. 5. To add negative numbers, add the numbers and keep the negative sign. And last but not least, 6. To add a positive and a negative number, subtract the numbers and take the sign of the number with the greater absolute value. Whether you're subtracting positive or negative numbers, you now have the tools to rewrite and solve these problems with confidence. Remember, math is all about finding patterns and rules that make solving problems easier, and you've done just that today. Keep practicing, and soon these steps will feel like second nature. Great job!